Good morning, folks. Welcome to Abe's Analysis and Insight. For today's conversation, we'll discuss the PNG 65 billion debt or the now crisis and can mining and LNG save our economy. Alright, so as everyone know, we approximately owe the lenders 65 billion. So every year, billions of kina are spent on repaying loans instead of building roads, funding hospitals, or improving our schools. Now the government's plan is clear. What they anticipate is future mining and LNG projects will grow our economy, expand our GDP, increase our revenue, and will eventually help manage our debt burden. But the concern is that what if those projects don't deliver? And if they don't deliver, can we realistically repay our debt? And what would happen if the government simply stop borrowing altogether? Let's break all those down. Alright, so first, our national public debt is estimated around 65 billion. Some may argue that it's gone up close to 66 billion now. So for our population of us, estimated population of the nation around 13 million, that's approximately 5,000 kina owed for every citizen individually. Now, while that sounds concerning or alarming, the debt itself isn't necessarily bad. Just like other countries, we borrow to expand our economy and to generate revenues. I think the key question here is whether the amount that we are borrowing, is it really generating enough revenue to justify the cost of borrowing or not. I guess that's the real question. Alright, so let's see how we are going to repay the debt by looking at the PNG 2026 budget. So this year's budget passed was approximately around 30.9 billion. So before the government spends money on roads, schools, hospital, or police, it must first finance its debt, or it has debt obligations. So approximately 3.7 billion goes to interest repayments of the debt, and 1.9 billion goes to principal repayments. So that's about roughly 5.6 billion in total debt servicing. And that, in terms of percentage, an estimated of around 18% of the national budget is spent on refinancing the debt. So in fact, we spend more on servicing our denounce than we spend on delivering services, or spend on health or education and so on. Now, can we repay our debt altogether? So let's say the government stops borrowing today and continue to repay debt at current rate. It could take roughly 30 years to fully repay the existing debt. But that's not how government typically operates, government in PNG or other countries. Most countries, they don't eliminate debt altogether or completely. Instead, the aim is to grow the economy faster than the rate at which they borrow. So the government strategy is based on future growth from projects such as the PNG LNG, Papua LNG, Wafi-Golpu, Frieda River projects, and other potential projects to come about in the future. Now the hope is that this project generate enough revenue, so that taxes, job, and foreign exchange to reduce the debt burden over time. The concern is, what if those project fail? Not necessarily fail, but the estimated revenue that was projected to come in does not eventuate. I think that's the biggest risk keeping everyone awake at night, the government as well as our economists. If the future projects fail to generate the expected revenue, the government revenue could weaken, and our budget deficit will continue to grow, meaning we'll spend more to finance the budget than we can than the revenue that will be collected or is collected to fund the budget. Our debt will continue to grow, and once the debt principal grows, the interest also grow, and it will consume larger portion of our budget. At the same time, critical services such as road will remain underfunded, schools, hospitals will struggle, and basically infrastructure development will slow down. Economy as a whole will also slow. The foreign exchange shortage could also worsen. The kina could become weak. So borrowing could become more expensive. In other words, we may not face bankruptcy, but we could face years of slower growth and reduced development. Alright, so if PNG stops borrowing altogether, which is what many have suggested, that we just stop borrowing and use what we have internally or in the country. If that happens, so the solution is not straightforward. If we stop borrowing, the government would still need funds to pay teachers, nurses, police, upgrade roads, hospitals, and also finance the existing debt. So without borrowing, the government will have to look at other measures to ensure that the economic growth is not stunted and the essential services are still carried out. They'll have to cut spending in sectors that are not vital or essential. They'll have to increase taxes. They'll have to print more money or run surplus budget. Now each option will come with its impacts or consequences. Stopping borrowing entirely may reduce debt growth, but it will slow the economic development, infrastructure expansion, and service delivery. So the real problem for us isn't the debt. The issue is whether the loan that we get, whether we create more economic value for the future, whether we are borrowing to build productive infrastructure that can create growth or not. Now, borrowing that produces little economic return simply leaves future generation with larger debt repayments. So the success of PNG's debt strategy ultimately depends on one question: will today's borrowing create a stronger economy for tomorrow or not? We are standing at a crossroads. The country is still carrying 65 million in debt while spending 80% of our budget servicing the debt. So the government's strategy depends heavily on future of mining, and LNG projects to deliver revenue needed to support economic growth. If those projects succeeds, then we could gradually reduce our debt burden while continuing to develop. If the project falls short, the country may face increasing debt and pressure on public service, infrastructure investment and future budgets. The future of PNG's economy will not be determined by how much it borrows. It will be determined by how wisely the government spends the money, or how wisely the money is invested. Because at the end, the debt is not the enemy. Unproductive debt is the enemy. Let me know your thoughts. Can the PNG mining future and LNG project generate enough revenue to manage the country's growing debt burden, or is PNG heading towards a debt trap? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed the analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video so more Papua New Guineans can understand the economic issues shaping our future. Thanks all, and you have a great day today.